نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected listeners and viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, we shall try to read few more verses from chapter number 2, Al-Baqarah, starting from verse number 272. Please hold a copy of Quran in your hands and focus your attention towards these specific particular verses. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. O Messenger, peace be upon him, you are not responsible for their guidance. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي. But it is Allah who guides مَن يَشَاءُ, who wills to be guided. وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ. Whatever you spend of good, فَلِأَنفُسِكُمْ, that you are spending for your own selves. وَمَا تُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ اللَّهِ. And you spend only for seeking approval and pleasure of Allah. وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ. And whatever good, out of good you spend, يُوَفَّى إِلَيْكُمْ, it shall be repaid to you. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تُظْلَمُونَ. And you shall not be wronged. لِلْفُقَرَاءِ الَّذِينَ. For those poor people who لِلْفُقَرَاءِ الَّذِينَ أُحْصِرُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, who are restricted in the cause of Allah. لا يستطيعون ضربا في الأرض, who cannot, who are unable to move around in the land to own their livelihood. يحسب الجاهل أغنياء. The ignorant people think about them to be self-sufficient or free of any need. من التعفف, due to their simplicity and modesty. تعرف بسيماهم, but you can recognize them by their characteristic mark. لا يسألون الناس إلحافا. They do not beg or ask for help persistently and importunately. وما تنفقوا من خير. And whatever you spend of good, فإن الله به عليم, that Allah barely knows it. الذين, those ينفقون أموالهم, who spend their wealth بالليل والنهار, in nights and days, سرا وعلانية, secretly and openly. فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم, their reward is with their Lord. ولا خوف عليهم, there shall be no fear upon them. ولا هم يحزنون, nor shall they ever grieve. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. These are the verses we're trying to read and understand, starting from verse number 272 of chapter Al-Baqarah, second chapter of Quran. The first verse, which we are studying today, has special message, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. O Messenger, upon you is not the responsibility of their guidance. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي. But it is Allah who guides مَن يَشَاءُ, whom He wills or who wills to be guided. This speaks of the responsibility of a prophet or a da'i. That, as Quran emphasizes time and again, وَمَا عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. O Messenger, upon you is the responsibility of conveying the message in the best possible manner, and which prophets do. Rest, the ball is now in the court of people around who listen to that message, whether they accept it or reject. A messenger's or prophet's job is not to make them accept it or force them to accept it, because that is against the spirit of Quran. There is no compulsion, as we read a few days back. La ikrah fi din. Let there be no compulsion in religion. Only thing is, qad tabayyana rushd min al-ghayy. Path of piety and righteousness has become now distinct from path of error. With the arrival of the Prophet, peace be upon him, with the arrival of the divine revelation in the form of Quran, now it is left with the listeners, with the people, to accept it or reject. If they accept it, that's for their betterment. If they reject, they're inviting destruction for their own selves. This is not the responsibility of a prophet. We see it in Quran itself. Fadhakir, O messenger, you remind them, you convey this message to them. Innama anta mudhakkir, because you have been sent for this job to convey them, to tell them what's right and what's wrong. Lasta alayhim musaitir, but you have not been sent as a policeman over them, that whatever you say, you shall force them to accept it. No, that's not your job. Illa man tawalla wa kafar. Now, when you have conveyed the message, whoever turns away from that and disbelieves and rejects, for yu'adhibuhullahu wa la ta'ala akbar, whoever turns away from this right path after you have conveyed, O messenger, that you lied to them, you conveyed the message to them, if they turn away or kafar and disbelieve, for yu'adhibuhullahu wa la ta'ala akbar, it's up for Allah to punish them, to chastise them. Because inna ilayna iyabuhum, unto us is their final return. Summa ilayna alayna hisabuhum, and it is for us to take them to account. So that's the role of Prophet. Prophet receives a message, he has to believe in it himself. He has to accept it, practice it, and convey it to others in the best part, both theoretically as well as practically, becoming a role model for them, how to act on divine message. That's all. The next step is to make them, to force them. That's not Prophet's job. That's clear. And Laisa alayka hudahum. That, O messenger, it's not your responsibility to put them on the path of guidance. No. Yes, to convey the path of guidance, to convey the message. That is your job. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. But it's Allah who guides whom He wills. But whom Allah wills to guide. It's not at random. Who wills to be guided, then only that person gets guidance, who is a seeker of guidance, who listens properly, understands it, reflects upon it, and then accepts it. Allah makes His way easier towards Jannah, towards paradise and towards bliss. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي. But it's Allah who guides man yasha, whom He wills. Since, for the last many days, we have been reading Quranic doctrines about spending for needy people, for good cause. And that's it. And remember, whatever you spend of good, that which you spend out of your wealth, as Quran says, spend in the way of Allah, which is good and best. And don't choose. Don't choose defective, worn out, or old things which are of no use to yourself. Then you start spending in the way of God. That's not the real. That's unbecoming of a true and sincere believer. Whatever you spend of good, that's for your own selves. It's not you're doing any favor to God, or you are doing any favor to the recipient to whom you are doing. No, forget about that. As we talked in detail in the light of Quran, once you help somebody, you bail somebody out of poverty, out of debt, or out of difficult situations. It's not. Don't ever think about ihsan or any favor that you are doing to that person. It is his ihsan or his favor on you, the donor, not the recipient. It's not a favor for the recipient, nor God. Everybody who does it, he does it for his own self. And you don't spend except for seeking approval and pleasure of Allah. And that's reality. A wealthy person or in a position to spend a penny or a dollar or a small amount or big amount out of his own earnings, hard earnings with all efforts on it. That's for it is to be simply fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, for seeking His approval, for seeking His pleasure, and expecting rewards in the next world on the day of judgment, when everybody will be in need of it. And whatever you spend of good, be sure it will be repaid to you. The time when everybody will be in need of that, and there will be no source to help. But one who spends out of his wealth for needy people, orphans and destitutes, and for welfare purpose, for the betterment of the community. The Quran says, "Yuwaffa ilaykum." It shall be repaid to you, returned to you. "Wa antum la tuzlamun." You shall not be wronged. You shall not be subjected to any kind of injustice, but provided illa ibtigha wajhillah, you spend it only for seeking pleasure and approval of Allah, not expecting any gratefulness or from the recipient. They're not even thinking of that. You're trying to become generous. You are not think about the generosity, and remind the person you are helping that I'm there to help you, and I'm doing it as an expression of generosity and gratitude. Those donations, that charity, those sadaqah are not expected of a believer, nor should a believer expect a reward for such things. Then Quran says, a class of people Quran discusses who deserve our attention of the whole community. Quran says, lil fukara alladina usiru fi sabilillah. Your charities are for those people who have been restricted for the cause of Allah. La yastatuna darban fil ard, and are unable to move about in the lands to earn their livelihood. That means this class of people which deserve our special attention, because such people don't beg, they don't ask for help. They are round the clock busy in learning Islam, learning the different dimensions of faith, and preparing themselves for da'wat, to convey the message. And they are doing it in the best possible manner. To that extent, they don't find time. They are held up. They are restricted in this noble cause, day and night, involved in learning, understanding, and then conveying the message without expecting any favor, without expecting any gratefulness, but taking it as the purpose of their lives, and feeling that, yes, this is the job assigned to us by firstly Allah. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf. They try to fulfill this mission, divine mission, and they feel that this is the job assigned to us by our beloved Prophet. If such there, because in any society, in any community, there are such dedicated people, of course, rare, less in numbers, but they deserve the attention of the whole ummah and whole community. If we don't take care of them, our faith will be no more. Imagine such people, if such people starve, if such people are not being bailed out of their difficulties, if we don't take care of them and their families, who is going to do any job for the propagation of faith or learning processes and making and others to understand? So Quran says this is a special class of people you have to take care. Lil fuqara alladina usru. Those people, your sadaqat are especially for those people who have been restricted for the cause of Allah, involved in understanding, learning, and propagating, and all related jobs, helping the poor, organizing such affairs. La yastatuna darban fil ard. To that extent, that they are unable to move around in the land. To move around the land means they are unable to find time and means to own their livelihood. But they are doing it for us. They are doing for whole ummah. They are fulfilling the mission assigned to them by Allah the Almighty, and the job put by Prophet, peace be upon him, for them. And therefore have to take care of them. That's the class of people. And since Quran says, Yasabuhu jahilu agniya. But common people, ignorant people, take them as their self-sufficient. They don't need, because you'll always see smiles on their faces, despite all hardships. There are people, I have met such people, even in this present time there are. In olden times there were more, but even now in 21st century we find such people, dedicated, sincere people. But having nothing, because so much involved around the clock in the affairs of faith and propagation, that you'll see always smile, light smile on their face. And so ignorant people take them as self-sufficient, free of any need, But Quran says, Yasabunu jahilu agniyan. These are ignorant people who don't understand their real position behind their facial smile. You have to go into depth of it. Is it smile out of modesty, out of being so grateful to God that they don't beg, they don't ask for help? But Quran says, Yasabunu jahilu agniyan. Ignorant people think about them to be self-sufficient, free of any need. Minat ta'afuf, due to their simplicity and modesty, due to their smiling faces. But ta'rifuhum bisimahum. You shall see them, you shall identify them, you shall recognize them by their characteristic marks. If you go into depth of it and try to see, they are hard up. But la yas'aluna nas ilhafa. They don't seek help from others. They don't beg. They don't ask for help persistently as professional beggars. They are not. No, it's unbecoming of them. They don't ask for help persistently and importunately. Or they don't beg to others. No. Quran says, these are the people who deserve. And I have seen many people, as by our experience, even if you come forward secretly to help them, they are reluctant to accept it. And it is sometimes very hard. I have met some people, I requested them in secret, in closed doors, in rooms. For God's sake, there's only Allah is witness to it. I can understand. You are so much involved, but you have no source of income around. We are proud of you. Our faith is alive by people like you. So we owe you everything. Our wealth, our efforts are for you. But such people are, it's very hard for them. They are reluctant to accept. But you have to make them, you have to force them. No, please, for the sake of God, you accept it. Such are the people they deserve, not the professional beggars who beg importunately, who beg persistently. No, they are the people who deserve our foremost attention. See, beauty of Quranic statements. And now let us see our own selves through this mirror. Where do we stand? Are we trying to identify such people? Do we come forward and try to meet them, talk to them, and understand their condition, and plead with them, request them to accept some help in any way we can? Do it. No, overall, we never do it, barring just few people. But Quran said they deserve our help. وَمَا تُنْفِقُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ, and whatever you spend of good, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ. Allah is knowing it. Allah knows it. If you help such people secretly, so that their honor is not at stake, so that they don't feel that they are being looked down upon, or because they will not ask for help. Even they will reluctantly accept help from you. This is a very important verse we have to take here. And Quran says, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم, those who spend their wealth بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, in the nights and days, سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً, secretly and openly. فَلَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ, for them is their reward with their Lord. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, there shall be no fear upon them. How can they be fearful? There is no fear upon them. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, nor shall they grieve. This verse is also very important, as I have tried to understand this verse. Quran said, those الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ. With this verse, the statements which we have been reading for quite some time about sadaqat, helping others who are in need of help, it's concluded with this. This verse concludes this whole statement. That الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم, those who spend their wealth سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً, بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, in the nights as well as in days. Days and nights means always. They are in search of people who are in need of help. And without waiting for their hands to spread towards you, no, they come forward, they bail them out. And that's why, according to Islam, a true believer is not one who waits till some person comes to him seeking for help from him. Though that's also charity. That may be also rewarded. Surely that will be, because once somebody comes to you and you ask, seeks help and you help him, you bail him out. But the real level of faith is that you should not. A true believer doesn't wait for that. He always in search of such people. It may be within his relation, which we ignore generally. How much do we take care of our relatives? How we try to understand how many among our relatives are so hard up. If their earnings are limited income, but we can understand their expenditures, genuine expenses are beyond that. They have a big family. And somebody is sick also among his family. They have to take care of their education of the kids. And other clothing, medicine, and everything. We have to look at a true believer as one who always identifies the deserving cases and doesn't wait for them, as is practice now. In the month of Ramadan, now we are sitting our places and people coming and begging, and we offer a 100-rupee note or 50-rupee note to them. This is not charity. This is not zakah. This is mockery. This is mockery. The real believer is, he identifies, he tries to see. Let me see among my own relatives. Why? Some people say, we have no time. Why don't you have? When you have time for your business, when you have time for your employment, when you have time for your families, when you spend a lot of time in unnecessary wasteful entertainments on internet, mobile phones, and matches, cricket and football and all that. Why don't you have time? Who says I don't have time? I tell people, let anybody come forward and make me understand and convince me that he has no time for good book. I'll make him understand how much time he has. It is actually the priorities. Our priorities have shifted. So this should be one of our priorities, to identify the needy people, whether they are within our own kith and kin, close relatives, then in our neighborhood, even some of our friends, some of our acquaintances. It is to be, we can seek help from others to identify and then help them, bail them out. That's true believer. Not one who waits. That means if somebody doesn't come to him, does that mean he has not to spend his wealth? That he's waiting somebody to come to him. And this way, we are promoting beggary, which is a prohibited institution in Islam. But we are responsible for that. The Quran says, those who spend their wealth in the nights and days. And night and days has some other significance also, as far as I have understood. They're a true believer. Of course, we have to spend during days. During days, we have to help somebody, go somewhere here and there and help somebody. But what about nights? Night means such a person always during night thinks. The way he thinks about his business, he thinks about his accounts, or thinks about future planning, what I have to do with my kids. We think about it. Their education, their careers, their employments, or likewise their marriage, we think about. Same way a true believer during night thinks, whom should I help tomorrow? Who is in need of my help? Is there any person who is desperate? How can I help him? During nights he plans it. If there is such and such person, what money is needed? If I can afford that instead of giving him just some amount of money, how can he rehabilitate the person? Well, I provide him an opportunity so that he stands on his own legs. He earns something and feeds himself and his family. He plans during nights, this night time, evening times. And during daytime, he practices that what he has been planning. This is, I have inferred this meaning from this verse. Those who spend of their wealth in the nights and the days. That means in all circumstances. Night and days may also mean whether they possess money in abundance or even if they are themselves hard up, night and day, they still spend. Of course, it counts their availability of money and funds. But this Billail has this significance too. That generally we plan during nights or evenings about marriage of our kids, their education, their schooling. Which school should we send tomorrow? We have to go for interview. Which school to choose? This is there. We plan it. Everything we plan. Business, employment, and same way we should plan plans during nights, evenings, which he tomorrow practices in daylight. Sirran wa alaniya, who spend secretly as well as openly. As I told you last time, in the light of Quran, Quran says, "In tubdu sadaqati fa ni'ma hiya." If you spend your charities openly, that's good. Because sometimes there are situations where you have to spend openly. But there should not be any interest, personal interest that I would like to gain a level of fame in my society. People should think about me that he's Hatimatai all the time. Or my name should come in newspapers and news channels. Or the people I'm helping, they should be grateful to me, and I'll start expressing and reminding them of my generosity, and feel that they should be always thankful and grateful to me. Without that, simply helping others for the sake of, because we owe, that's our responsibility. وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ, as I explained last time. The true believers think, and they are sure that in our wealth, there's a portion for deprived ones who don't have. So it is their right in my pocket. So I have to forward that amount to them. I'm not doing any ihsan, I'm not doing any favor. If I don't pay them, I'm usurping their rights. I'll be punished for that. With this intention, sometimes you spend openly. As I told you last time too. Sometimes if you spend with this intention, maybe, oh Allah, you know it, my intentions well. I'm not doing it to be seen by others, but I'm simply trying to promote this charity in my society. So others also see, and they also come forward, spend on welfare schemes and others, others. So sometimes there are occasions when spending openly becomes perhaps preferential. Sirra is of course, Elania means openly, Sirra means secretly, but that's right. The best thing is to spend your charities secretly. That keeps the honor of the recipient intact. And that's the best way. فَلَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ, for them is a reward in the Rabbi with their Lord. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, there should be no fear upon them. No fear of accountability, because their account will be quite clear and clean, transparent. So they shall have no fear on the day of judgment, when they will be put to account. وَلَهُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, nor shall they grieve. Once they get report card, result card, and entry pass, that will be surely entry pass to the garden of paradise. So how can they grieve? Sadaqallahu al-Azim. وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين.